Hello again and welcome to DanWhiteBooks, the book review channel where we add insights into the worlds of literature for both those who do read and those who don't. Today I'm reviewing a book that speaks of an alternate future where Nazi Germany, along with Imperial Japan, win the Second World War. Today I review The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. You might have heard of this book before, particularly if you have an Amazon Prime account. The Man in the High Castle, despite being a famous book, has also recently been adapted into a television series, although one I've barely touched upon. The book was first published in 1962, written by the famous science fiction author Philip K. Dick. Other notable works by this author include the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?, which was later adapted into the highly famous film Blade Runner. Any science fiction fan is sure to have heard of that one. The Man in the High Castle is set in an alternate version of America, where the country is split into separate parts by the victorious Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany. The main setting of this tale takes place in San Francisco in the Pacific states of America, although this story darts about a lot and has you following quite a variety of characters, particularly for its short length. The copy I have has only 274 pages and the sizing is quite modest. I'll come back to why I'm mentioning this later. The first of the characters you are introduced to is a man named Robert Charlton, who runs an antique shop that caters to Japan's newfound obsession with objects of Americana, these simply being items that were popular in the former United States. They can be as significant as old war pieces or simply children's toys, basically anything that has that old-style American feel to it. Charlton is asked to source a piece for a man named Mr. N. Tagami, who is a high-ranking trade official. Tagami later becomes a key part to the plot. Summarising the story of this work is a hard feat, particularly in a book review like this one, because the story is not one but many. There is an overarching plot throughout and most of the characters are linked together, but there's a lot going on in this book and not a whole lot of time to squeeze it all in. Across country, a woman named Juliana Frink meets a man named Joe Sinadella, and they embark on a journey to meet the author of a book called The Grasshopper Lies Heavy. You may hear the title of that book and wonder, what the hell is that all about? Well, The Grasshopper Lies Heavy is a key component to this work. It speaks, much like Philip K. Dick's actual book, of an alternate future. The Grasshopper Lies Heavy tells the characters of a different future where Germany lost the Second World War, a future you may know well yourself. Admittedly, these events differ from the world we see today, but it leads to strong debate from the characters. The book is banned by Nazi Germany, however its popularity does not cease to rise, and it is continually mentioned throughout. As is something else, and I'm surprised to see its introduction in this work, because I actually have it here. The I Ching, or the Book of Changes. I bought this book long ago, but never fully took to it. The I Ching is an ancient Chinese text that in its simplest form provides advice on future decisions. When I say this is an ancient book, I do not exaggerate. It was written around 900 BC. Many characters in The Man in the High Castle consult this work, or what they call the Oracle, and ask for advice on a decision they wish to make in the future. Through a series of hexagrams, the book offers an answer, although this is far more complex than my words can give credit. Now, this may all sound a little bit heavy, and that's because it is. In fact, more so than I could ever have imagined. The I Ching symbolises a glimpse into the future, and the very fact that the book exists in our reality, much as it did in the fictional reality of our characters, suggests that we too have some greater alternative world around us, and that perhaps we also live in a world of fiction. The Man in the High Castle has a depth to it I was not expecting. I'm sure you can tell just by getting this far in the review. At times it can be hard to get through, but in the end I do look back on it and find it quite the complexing tale. It encompasses more than just narrative and talks of chance and indifference, particularly about the reality around us. The book is written with a touch of the intellectual kind, and I felt the writing style to be similar, if only in small ways, to that of Aldous Huxley. The world is different to ours, with traits of science fiction sprinkled throughout, and underneath there is a spiritual, if not philosophical, reverence to it. I would admit I find it difficult to find the words to articulate my thoughts regarding this book, but I will say this book is far more than what I was expecting. It's a realism that is underpinned with a touch of humanity, both good and bad, but there is also doubt of the present and doubt of the future. I can imagine this will be one that will have people wondering what was so great about it. It lingers on the mind and plays with your thoughts, at least it does for me. There are some books you finish reading yet don't start discovering until the final page, and I certainly feel this book will fall into that category. Unfortunately, I do have my criticisms of this work, and I can't leave them unaired. Number one is the book's length. For the topic this book is discussing, I don't feel it was long enough. I also believe it could have gone on much longer than it did, and I would have been happy to read more. Then there's the physical setting of the world. It is spoken about, but it isn't detailed. You are given an explanation of the way things are, but this is easy to forget. I wanted to explore this universe in greater detail, but on this front, I was left disappointed. Now, I best give this a rating, hadn't I? And this is an extremely difficult book for me to rate because I liked it, but parts left me underwhelmed. The deeper meaning has intrigued me, but the setting itself has left me slightly dissatisfied. So, with all things considered, I would rate this book a 72 out of 100. My friends, thank you very much for watching. This book was not what I expected. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It has a lot of characters and it goes between them quite a lot. It can be quite hard to follow if you're not used to that kind of writing style, but there is a kind of a deeper touch to it, a deeper meaning, and it's still not fully computed in my mind, but it has left me with this feeling of intrigue, and I can't discredit that. If you would like to read along with me for our next book review here, I will be reading quite the famous book, The Great Gatsby. If you'd like to join me in reading this and then coming back here and having a discussion, I read books around every 2 weeks, so I do apologise that this book review has been slightly delayed. I could barely speak earlier in the week, but we've got there. And if you would like to join me in reading this book and then coming back here to review it, I'm sure a lot of people have probably already read this, but I have not. I've not seen the film. I don't know what it's about. I know, well, I don't really know at all, but it will be interesting to review this, although difficult because of course it is a classical work, and I always feel incredibly strange giving classical books a rating because they really do sit in their own realm. My friends, let's conclude it there. Thank you very much for watching and spending a bit of your time here today. I will see you here again soon for another book review and discussion. Bye bye.